There's a conversation brewing across the AFC North, and it's one that every Bengals fan needs to hear. A recent article in The Athletic brought together four top reporters, each representing an AFC North team, to weigh in on the key questions facing their franchises. And when it came to the Bengals, Paul Denner Jr. didn't hold back. His insights? They're not just sharp. They reflect exactly where Cincinnati stands heading into a crucial point of the offseason. But before we dive into what this means for the Bengals, if you love the Bengals and want the smartest takes before anyone else gets them, hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and make sure to smash that bell icon so you never miss a breakdown. All right, let's get to the real story. Denner was part of a four-question panel, and every answer he gave paints a picture of urgency, focus, and expectation in Cincinnati. No fluff, just football. And the timing? Couldn't be more important as the Bengals gear up for training camp. Let's get straight to it. Because if you're a Bengals fan, this is the battle you should be watching like a hawk. As we approach training camp, the most critical position battle in Cincinnati isn't at quarterback, wideout, or even cornerback. It's the guard spots, left and right. And Paul Denner Jr. from The Athletic nailed it. These two positions could define the Bengals' offensive ceiling this season. Think about it. You've got everything else lined up. Joe Burrow, fully healthy. Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, nightmare fuel for defenses. Mike Thomas returns. Chase Brown, looking like a breakout weapon. Bookend tackles in Orlando Brown Jr. and Amarius Mims, holding it down. Ted Karras, steady as they come at center. So what's left? Just the two most uncertain, high-stakes jobs in the trenches. Four names are in the mix right now, and the competition's heating up. Dylan Fairchild, third-round pick out of Georgia. Explosive, polished, and favored to lock down the left guard spot. Cordell Volson, a 3-year starter. But is that experience enough to hold off younger, hungrier talent? Cody Ford, the versatile depth piece. Can he rise beyond backup duties and snag a starting job? Lucas Patrick, a late addition in free agency. A journeyman, sure, but drawing early praise from both Zach Taylor and line coach Frank Pollock. Let's be clear. This isn't just about filling spots. This is about protecting the face of your franchise. If Joe Burrow doesn't get interior protection, everything else, from Chase's deep routes to the run game, collapses. And here's the real test. If we're not talking about the guards during the season, that's a win. That means they're doing their job, quietly dominating, and letting Burrow work his magic. So keep your eyes on the interior line, because this right here might be the biggest storyline in camp, and the most important battle in Cincinnati's quest for another deep postseason run. Let's rewind to one of the most important questions raised in the Athletics panel. Is there still unfinished business the Bengals need to handle before training camp? Short answer? Absolutely. Cincinnati may be quiet on the surface, but behind the scenes, two major situations are demanding attention. Rookie pass rusher Shemar Stewart and veteran edge Trey Hendrickson. Let's start with Stewart. This is no small issue. He still hasn't signed his rookie contract, and under league rules, no contract means no training camp participation. That's a serious setback for a young defender the Bengals are hoping to mold into a true weapon off the edge. Shemar is raw, full of upside, but short on polish. He needs reps, coaching, and field time now, not later. Every day missed is a step behind in development. And if this contract isn't finalized soon, it could ripple into the season. Then there's Trey Hendrickson. Now, this one's a little different. While his future with the team is under a bit of a cloud, there's less immediate panic here. Hendrickson's a proven veteran, and as Paul Denner Jr. pointed out, he could walk in a week before kickoff and still get to the quarterback. But let's be honest, having him around earlier would help build cohesion and keep distractions to a minimum. Bottom line, Cincinnati has a roster loaded with potential. But if they want that potential to translate into wins, these contract situations, especially Stewart's, can't linger. With training camp just around the corner, The Bengals need to get this wrapped up fast. Let's shift to a critical question about roster stability. Is there a longtime Bengal whose spot on the roster is no longer secure? The answer, unfortunately, is yes. Cordell Volson might be on the bubble this summer. Now, this is a player who started for 3 straight seasons. He's been reliable, tough, durable. But in the NFL, history doesn't always protect you, especially when there's younger, cheaper talent pushing hard behind you. Here's where it gets tricky. Volson's contract took a hit after a performance-based pay adjustment, but he's still counting over $3 million against the cap. If the Bengals were to release or trade him, they'd save $2.5 million. That's not a small number, especially for a team that's tight on roster space and planning ahead financially. Now look at the competition. You've got Jackson Kirkland, an undrafted free agent, getting some buzz. If Kirkland even plays close to Volson's level in camp, the front office may ask the tough question. Do we keep the veteran or save the money and go young? Coaches like Scott Peters have spoken highly of Volson's work ethic and growth potential. That counts, but it won't be enough by itself. Volson needs to prove he's not just slightly better, but clearly better than his challengers at right guard. The reality? His future in Cincinnati is going to be decided very early in camp and preseason. If he shows real improvement, if he's taken a step forward in his technique, leverage, and pass protection, he could lock that spot down again. But if not, a veteran who's been a key part of the line for 3 years could suddenly be looking for a new team. As training camp approaches, Cordell Volson's fate hangs in the balance. The Bengals will soon know whether he's improved enough to lock down that right guard spot, or if he's become expendable, especially with younger linemen nipping at his heels. But Volson's not the only player under the microscope. Let's talk about Myles Murphy, because his time might be running out. He was a first-round pick in 2023. High expectations, elite athletic traits. But so far, the production hasn't matched the promise. He didn't record a single sack last season, not one. That's a glaring stat for a guy drafted to disrupt quarterbacks. Defensive coordinator Al Golden has made it clear. This is a make or break year. Murphy's had a full offseason in the system. He's getting snaps. He's getting reps. Now it's time to show something, anything. That proves he belongs in the Bengals pass rush rotation. Because if he doesn't, he's going to get passed up. Guys like Joseph Osai, rookie Cedric Johnson, or even Shemar Stewart could leap ahead of him on the depth chart. And in the NFL, snaps tell the truth. If Murphy's role is shrinking once preseason games start, that speaks volumes about how the coaching staff sees him. The Bengals need edge rush help. They can't afford to miss on a first-round pick. If Myles Murphy figures it out, he could become a massive X factor for this defense, especially with the questions still hanging over Trey Hendrickson and Stewart. But if not, Cincinnati may have to start thinking about life without him in the mix. This is it. The spotlight's on. Myles Murphy has to deliver. Let's be honest. This defensive line room looks deep on paper, but paper doesn't win games. Trey Hendrickson has carried the Bengals' edge rush for years now. And outside of him, there's been no real threat to opposing quarterbacks. That's the issue. This group has names: Joseph Osai, Myles Murphy, Shemar Stewart, Cedric Johnson. But names mean nothing if the pressure isn't there. This is especially critical for Myles Murphy. If he can't step up this year, the Bengals might have to admit they missed badly on a first-round investment. The leash is short. The patience is thinner. If Murphy disappears again this season, that bust label won't just be speculation. It'll be a fact. This defense can't revolve around just Hendrickson anymore. The Bengals need multiple guys who can collapse pockets and shake quarterbacks. And with a brutal AFC North ahead, that need becomes urgent. Cincinnati's edge room has the bodies, but now it's about production. Either someone steps into that role behind Hendrickson, or the Bengals head into another season banking on one man to carry the load again. Time's up. This group has to prove it.